Now in Diablo 2 Resurrected, you have to pump a ton of points into individual skills and then cap out the synergies for it too, for it really to do anything for you.
Well, if you read the title of this video, you would already know that is not an accurate statement. There's actually a ton of skills in Diablo 2 Resurrected, really on every single one of the characters, that you just need 1 point, and it's automatically going to be godly for your character. Just as a little bit of a caveat as I start the video, this is going to be for the majority of builds for the majority of people. So I'm not talking about PvP builds. I'm not talking about maybe some speedrunner strats or anything like that. And also there is occasionally going to be some meme builds or maybe just builds that aren't used as often that would perhaps cap out some of these skills, or maybe just certain instances on certain builds. Maybe the skill points are shifted around a little bit. But in most instances, the skills I'm talking about here today are really amazing, really godly with just that 1 point. Now, first off, we're going to take a look at the Amazon right here, and we'll hop over to what's going to be the passive and magic skill tree right here. This is pretty much a 1 point wonders galore on this entire skill tab. Now, you see down the right side, we'll talk about that first. The thing is these are 1 point wonders, and they're also 1 point required to get you down to a skill that you really want to get to, and it is also usually just a 1 point wonder, and that is Pierce. So your missiles have a chance to pass through enemies that they hit, so then they'll just continue on and hit the monsters behind them if you do end up piercing each time. Now right here, this I have almost no gear essentially on this character, so I have 1 base point into it, and it does have a couple of skill points, but it's already up to a 49% chance. So the thing is you put 1 hard point into it, and then the plus skills from your gear will bump up these 1 point wonders, and in this instance, it pretty easily gets you over the 66% chance, because over that is 67, and the reason that is so great, look at that razor tail right there, it actually has a 33% chance to pierce. So as long as you have sufficient enough plus skills on your Amazon, which usually isn't too difficult, you can easily get to 100% chance to pierce, and that absolutely sets off, at least for builds that I love playing the most, the Lightning Fury Javazon, as that javelin travels through the monsters, just shooting out a bazillion bolts, melting everything down. Now down the middle here, we actually have other good 1 point wonders, and they didn't used to be. Back in old Diablo 2, if you used dodge, avoid, and evade, it would save you an instance, but it would also cause you to do a particular animation that could actually kind of like slow you down and be annoying. So a lot of people would just skip these before, but they have reworked some of this in more recent times to where you don't get it. It almost looked like a stun lock before where these things would happen. That doesn't happen anymore. So now it is a great idea to dodge. So a melee attack when attacking or standing still, you will use this dodge. Avoid, you have a chance to dodge enemies' missiles when you're attacking or standing still. And evade, you have a chance to dodge melee or missile attacks while walking or running. And that covers, well, all your bases right there. Once again, another instance where the plus skills will lift up that particular 1 hard point into that, raising the percentage for this and kind of helping you survive even more. Now we're looking at the big dog right over here, and that is the Barbarian. And when we took a look at 1 point wonders, a lot of them here are going to be on the combat mastery skill tree. And we're looking at the bottom. Veterans to the Barbarian are going to be not surprised at all, but we're looking at increased stamina. We're taking a look at Iron Skin, increased speed, and natural resistance. Now, once again, you see base points on all these is just 1, and then the plus skills will raise it up. Now, increased stamina, it doesn't really help you out a ton. I mean, what does stamina really do for you late game, am I right? But you might as well get 1 point into that just to go ahead and you'll alleviate any stamina issues you do have at any time. Really, as soon as you can get 1 point into that, I would just go ahead and do it. Now, increased speed can be great. A lot of times you won't have Enigma on your Barbarian, and you can move around faster, so it kind of makes your travels a little bit better, and the faster you can move around, the faster you can do more runs, the more efficiently you can do more runs, the more good gear you can find. So go ahead and make sure you get that 1 point into increased speed. Now over here on Iron Skin, just with this 1 point and then the plus skills I got, I have 100% increased defense, so it's doubling the defense that I have, which means I'll get hit less. Survivability goes right up. Easily, just super basic. You definitely want to go ahead and get 1 point into that. Now down here, natural res, keeping your resistance capped in Diablo 2 is going to be kind of crucial. You don't always have to have them capped, but if you can get 1 point, and then with the plus skills here of up to 8, that's not too hard to get on an endgame Barbarian at all. That's just like budget gear almost. You got 50 to all resistance. That's like having better than a perfect Marazon to get that resistance up. So man, natural res and another great 1 point wonder. But hey, we ain't done yet with what's just on this skill tree. We need to take a look at the other ones because there's actually a ton of 1 point wonders on here that are either 1 point wonders all the time or on certain builds and certain instances are great 1 point wonders. Now we're actually going to take a look over here at the combat skill tree, and a great 1 point wonder even though you see this is capped on this particular build because this is a Berserker Barb build I have right now, if you're doing any of the other physical damage type builds, getting 1 point into Berserk is absolutely crucial. Let's say you're rocking a Whirlwind Barbarian. Let's say you're rocking a Frenzy Barb. Let's say you're rocking a Throw Barbarian. They're all just dealing physical damage. Well, what if you come across a physical immune? Well, that 1 point wonder into Berserk can be the difference between being able to take that monster out and just kind of wasting the run right there. Let's say you're running something like Thresh Shock and he ends up immune to physical. Well, you're SOL, son, unless you have Berserk. Now, it doesn't sound like 1 point into this really should be enough. But honestly, just 1 point into Berserk does work reasonably well. So even another instance, whirlwinding out there at Trav, you can come over and put a 1 point wonder into here. Let's say one of the Trav council members are immune to physical. Chop, chop, chop. And honestly, it's just usually if you got a reasonably good whirlwinder that's dealing physical damage, it's really only a couple of swings on players 1, 2, or 3. Usually chops out one of the council members. Do note though, when you're using Berserk, you're not going to be leeching back life. So that is one of the issues. You kind of make up for it when you're doing a full-time Berserker. But yeah, just that 1 point wonder in Berserk, great to have. Now hopping over to the Warcry skill tree, and this is going to be dependent on the build. But let's just say you're doing a build and you don't think you're going to be absolutely capping these skills out. The battle orders and battle commands are absolutely going to be 1 point wonders. There are instances such in this build, I went ahead and capped out battle orders, but part of that is because when we take a look at Berserk, battle orders is actually a synergy for it. Most of the time, it might be one of those ones you put the remaining points into after you cap out all the ones that are super important to your build. But if that's not the case, battle orders is a required. You never, ever want to do a bar build without battle orders, so it can be considered a 1 point wonder. And the one just below it is one that is truly all the time a 1 point wonder. By putting more skill points into it, all you do is increase the duration and possibly the radius. I'm not 100% sure on that one, but I don't think ever in my life have I put more than 1 point into this. But every single build I've ever done, I've put 1 point into this. So this is the stereotypical battle commands, increasing all skill levels for you and your party. Stereotypical 1 point wonder. So now we're taking a look at our assassin lady right here, and our first 1 point wonder to talk about is Burst of Speed. Now, a lot of times you're not going to have Enigma, especially until you get those runes later, until your major end game. So if you don't have teleport, and even if later games, sometimes people don't use teleport, but Burst of Speed increases your attack and movement speed for a period of time. Now, when you throw down traps, so if you're any trap assassin, those actually go on the increased attack speed frames, not on the FCR frames. So Burst of Speed can actually let you deal out damage faster and travel around faster. So Burst of Speed, a 1 point wonder for sure. Now, I usually only ever do 1 point wonder. Feel free to go in the comments if there's ever instances where you put more into Burst of Speed than that. I am a pretty much 100% of the time 1 point wonder into Burst of Speed. Now, another one that might not be bad to have, and especially on a playthrough when your resistances are going to be really garbage, and that is getting 1 point into Fade. Raise all resistance and resist curses for a period of time here. So Fade, obviously getting those resistances up can help out your survivability like crazy, and if you're not worried about dying as much, you can then spend more time concentrating on slaughtering those demons and getting better drops. So Fade, helping you survive, helping you out, really just get better gear faster. And now this one is actually capped out on this particular build because I'm doing a Lightning and Death Sentry build, but there are instances, there are certain builds that Death Sentry could actually be considered a 1 point wonder. And that's because it actually has the corpse explosion damage on this. Yes, it does shoot out lightning damage, and if you boost it up, you will get more lightning damage from that. There are certain builds where Death Sentry, in order just to get that corpse explosion, you could use this as a 1 point wonder. One example of that is before I've done fire trap builds. So you're capping out the fire traps and their synergies, and then you go ahead and just come down here and get point into Death Sentry. Now Fire Blast is a synergy, giving you 1 shot per 3 levels, and you're already capping that out. So the extra shots you get from capping out the Fire Blast causes the Death Sentry to last even longer. And putting more points into this, it doesn't boost up the corpse explosion damage at all. So really, a lot of instances, there are places where you can use Death Sentry as that 1 point wonder. Now we're taking a look at our Wolfie boy right here, and we're taking a look at the summoning skill tree. This is where all of the particular 1 point wonders that I'm going to talk about here on the Druid are located at. Now, first of all, and it's pretty much what we got for this build, the first one is Oak Sage. Now what this does for you is it gives you extra max life. Now 1 point into it isn't going to keep it alive very much. You see it only has 200 life, The thing is, I just put 1 point into it. If it gets taken out, I go ahead and just summon another one up. Gets taken out, summon another one up. It's going to happen, but you just keep respawning him. Even if you max it out at the most life that he can get, it still gets taken out all the time. So I feel like it's really not worth it. And usually you're going to be putting your points into other damage dealing skills. Unless you're playing hardcore, you could be playing differently here. But Oak Sage, a great 1 point wonder. Another great 1 point wonder, the Summon Grizzly. Now, even just getting that 1 point into it, it's already an absolute tank with 2,000 to life. Now, you could go ahead and boost it up a lot more. Actually, you see down at the bottom, Summon Direwolf gives you 15% life per level. And you actually get less life than that when you put 1 hard point into Grizzly. So if you want your Grizzly to be a complete tank, 1 point into it and actually pump more into the Summon Direwolf. But even just as is, this entire tree here, 1 point, 1 point, 1 point, 1 point, just getting 1 point down to Summon Grizzly, just as it is, it's already a great tank for you. Next up is our Holy Warrior right here, the Paladin. Now, taking a look at the 1 point wonders over on this side, there's actually a bunch of them, and some of these are going to be dependent on the build, but let's go over all of them. First of all, Smite, an amazing 1 point wonder. Now, if you are strictly a Smiter build, yeah, you're going to pump it up a lot, but if you're a Hammerden, if you're a Fist of Heaven's Paladin, you could just get 1 point into Smite, and because it lands his shots every single time, if you're getting most of your damage from Crushing Blow, really the 1 point is all you need. So we're actually going to jump skill trees because we're going to piggyback off of that. Just getting 1 point into Fanaticism can be a great 1 point wonder to kind of turn either, like I said, just for the example purposes here, your Hammerden or your Fist of Heaven's Paladin into a 1 point Smite, 1 point Fanaticism. You could turn it into essentially a dual spec build. And just with those 1 points, I've done it before, easily take out Declone, and you can actually go out and even farm torches with just 1 and 1 between those two skills. Back over onto the combat skill tree, and this is going to be before you get your Enigma. And this is one that you're probably going to have 1 point into regardless, but still a great 1 point wonder here, and that is the skill Charge. Now this is going to increase the speed at which you travel around the game like crazy. You do eat through mana early on, but man, if you don't have that teleport and you're trying to get out somewhere super fast, you're definitely going to be utilizing this charge skill. Sliding into some auras here that actually will help out your survivability. These are ones that you can kind of just swap to every once in a while when you need them. The first one, if you're super late game, you're probably not going to use this, but anybody, especially on a playthrough or just after you get done with the playthrough, even online, if your entire team is surviving better because they have so much all res, they're going to be killing stuff way faster, which means everyone's drops are going to be better, getting experiences way faster. And that is using this skill right here, Salvation. So when active, aura decreases fire, cold, and lightning damage done to you and your party. So that's a great 1 point wonder right there. Like I said, maybe before everybody's end game, but even then it could still have its uses. Another 1 point wonder right here, which I would usually always have, and that is the skill Redemption. So when active, the aura attempts to redeem the souls of the slain enemies, giving you life and mana. So with just 1 point into this, and then as your plus skills boost it up like it does with a lot of other things. I actually have extra points down here, and this is single player. Let's go ahead and get it down there and just show you. With the plus skills on a relatively good decked out Paladin here, 82% to recover 100 mana, and that happens instantly. It's not slow like with a potion and it slowly comes back. Just all those bodies disappear, and you essentially almost immediately get all of your life and all of your mana back. So a lot of times if you're a Hammerden, you spin up those hammers when the whole pack is down. You swap off your concentration aura over to Redemption. It redeems the souls. Then you swap back and move on. An absolute key and clutch 1 point wonder right there. Now we're taking a look at the Necromancer, and I'm going to go even quicker on this one because looking at it now, there's actually so many 1 point wonders on this build, it's going to take forever to talk about. So we're taking a look at the Poison and Bone skill tree first. Bone Armor, a great 1 point wonder. You might as well use it even if you think you don't need. Absorbing 335 damage when you get hit. And as it goes away, you just keep bringing it up, bringing it up, bringing it up. Great for survivability. Taking a look at actually the main damage dealing skill for the Necromancer. Right here, I have more points into it, but even with just 1 point into it, Corpse Explosion is an amazing 1 point wonder. As you put more points into it, all it does is increase the radius. It doesn't actually increase the damage. So sometimes, a lot of times, you can just put 1 point into it. As you get more plus skills, it'll raise it up, and the radius will be perfectly sufficient for most builds. This will be one that a lot of times I'll put any of my remaining points into it as I get super high leveled, just to increase the radius, like melting the whole screen even more ferociously. Now over on the curses, and pretty much no matter what curse you're going to use, well, a lot of times anyways, there are going to be different instances, I suppose, where it could vary, but a lot of the curses even are just 1 point wonders, especially late game. Let's say you're doing the damage from Corpse Explosion, which is physical, you want to boost that up, or you're doing a summoning build, they're all dealing out physical damage. You can just put 1 point into amplified damage, kind of spam it over the group of monsters and hit the entire area, then corpse explode. And you just want to put the 1 point into it because once again, all this does, the extra points just increases the radius. Now hopping down to lower res, this can be a great 1 point wonder as well. It reduces all the resistance of whatever you're casting it on. So then when you go ahead and use your poison damage, boom, it melts the monsters faster. Or corpse explosion is half fire, half physical. So it'll actually boost up the damage of the fire half of the corpse explosion. Now, as you put more points into it, unlike most of the other things I've mentioned on the Necromancer, it will actually increase the resist all that it minuses. But a lot of times, just in my instance, I will go ahead and use this as a 1 point wonder because you just don't have enough points to max out everything. And at some point when you're adding more points into lower resistance, you're getting 1% per 2 levels you put in, or you're getting 1% per 1 level. I don't know if that's really going to be worth it. A lot of times capping out your synergies on something like your Poison Nova, I think is going to end up more important. But lower res can just be a great 1 point wonder. Another great 1 point wonder, no matter what build you're on, if you want to get down to this, is actually getting revives. Now you return a monster back to life to fight for your side. Now even with just 1 point, you see the life is 200%, so it has even more health than it did as an original monster. Now the plus skills obviously make this even better, and you'll be able to revive even more monsters. But revives, a great 1 point wonder to have no matter what build that you're rocking. Maybe when you get way late game, you won't need to use it at all, but definitely earlier on can mega help you out. Next one up, a great 1 point wonder down here for summon resistance. Usually you see them walking around right here. You're going to have an Iron Golem and an Insight if you are any endgame build. Also, if you have summons, if you're a summon Necromancer, but getting this all res to keep your Iron Golem alive even longer is going to be spectacular because you never want to have to keep chewing through new insights to make a new Insight Iron Golem. Now we'll take a look at everybody's main lady right here, and that is the Sorceress. She has some of the most obvious ones, so I'm going to fly through them super quick here, but Warmth, the mana recovery percentage boosted up, and then you get all the plus skills boosting that up. There's not a lot of instances where you ever put any more than 1 point into Warmth. This really is an amazing 1 point wonder to have. Looking at the lightning skill tree, static, depending on the build, sometimes you will max this out if you're a Nova Sorceress like here, but even just getting 1 point into static, at least then you can use it on the bosses, even though it doesn't have a large radius, and chop them down. And then you're going to have a better time and an easier time taking them out because in hell difficulty, you can chop them down to half of their health. The biggest shocker of the night, right here, 1 point into teleport on the Sorceress. Literally, there is no Sorceress build that I can ever imagine where you wouldn't have 1 point into teleport, and teleport being so crucial, so god tier. Enigma is the most powerful probably rune word in the game, and it just has 1 to teleport, and it uses 2 high runes. It's so great that essentially every single build uses Enigma in this entire game. So definitely teleport, mandatory 1 point wonder. And over on the cold spells here, we have Frozen Armor. You might as well slap that 1 point into it no matter what build you are, just to get a little bit more defense, hopefully helping out the survivability. It's only 1 point, fellas. And there's the 1 point wonders. If there's anything you think I missed, hit them in the comments, fellas. And don't forget the like button. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe up before you go. Peace out, fellas, and keep slaying.